Hi, it's Xavier, and I really want to welcome you to my bonsai retreat. In fact, I wanted to welcome you so much, I was actually been waiting 8 hours to do this, and it's rained and rained and rained. And I finally got out here, and essentially I've got an hour before dinner. And of course, what does everyone want to do at 5 o'clock? They want to drill and hammer and tap. So if you hear some noise in the background, that's just neighbours doing their stuff after they've got home from work, so it's not their fault. But anyway, I've got the sun blaring down on here, so hence the sun hat. But we're on the latter part of the middle of summer, i.e. ending to the sort of final third of summer. And there you go. And this is reportedly to be a really advantageous time to be doing repots on your Buxus. Now, traditionally I've done all my repots same time of the year, in the spring. And this is the year when I'm experimenting with starting to do the repots at stages which are recommended by Bonsai for me. So yeah, so my intention will be to do the repot on this. I also actually need to finish rewiring. Now you'll notice this has already been partially wired out, and this was done way back in the spring. And I was invited to an allotment party, or an allotment day, and saw lots of trees, but wired some of this out, and never got around to doing the rest of it. Now, also on that point, in fact, I'll show you another one to give you an idea. Now this one is exactly the same age as the one you've just seen, except this one is has not been wired or touched at all. And technically, this is what I should have done. To get the best results, apparently, Harry Harrington is my source at the moment, and that's what I'm going to follow for the next few years to see how it works out. Your Buxus, you just let them grow through the spring and get loads and loads of growth, and then when you get to the autumn time, that's when that's when you can start doing some pruning back and establish some shape and direction and wiring and all that. So I'm going to be doing all my Buxus work, repots now, but I'll only show you on one of the trees. And then I've also got this one here, which in my eagerness I put it into a nice Dawn Isaac ceramic, lovely glaze on it, and it's got a part of the shape. I started to wire it out, but they're I don't think they're my favourite at the moment. Probably because I think it's because I tend to find that they need to be wired out to produce that shape that we come to associate with these sort of stump trees, because they're all hedging anyway. But there's some nice movement in that, and I can see it. So I'm going to clean these all up. I'll show you one repot, I'll show you a bit of styling on another, and then I'll show you what they all look at the end. Hopefully that'll all be in one succinct little video, but bear in mind I know I've been blabbering for at least 5, 6, 7, 8, yawn, 9 minutes. It's probably going to be over 2 parts, but yeah, so let's go on and repot one of the Buxus. Just for context on these, I actually bought these probably back in 2017, and just a local nursery, and they were selling great big, I mean I think they were 4-foot bushes for fiver each. So that's why I got them, and they really have been ignored a lot. So okay, well I can already tell you this one hasn't been wired in, and you can tell how long ago it was that I did it, because there's nothing in the bottom, and I used some well-placed stones. Don't know why, probably drainage, goodness knows. So we'll get rid of them, shall we? Now the roots on the, oh gosh, yep, good old-fashioned screen there. Well, that really tells you quite a lot. That's appalling. Really. We can see I was obviously skimming the bottom of a river when I did this. We really don't want that sort of material in the mix. So I'll get them out of the way first. You'll find that the roots on these, if you haven't seen them, are very, very fine. They're very, very vigorous for a start. My gosh, I put loads of rocks, and that is just mud. So that might explain why it's been so slow growing as well. So we need to get this all sorted out. As I say, I did the repotting on these. It's got to be coming on for 4 years, 5 years. Now Buxus, I think there's 3 or 4, well there's quite a number of varieties, but As a rule, Buxus are pretty slow growing apparently, but when they're in a good free draining soil, which is what these like, they apparently, those roots come away, they apparently grow very well. I need to be careful not to take too much root out of this. Well, I don't know. Harry Harrington says crack on, do repot in summer, so I'm going to. And looking at the soil this is in, it's probably a good idea to do just that. So I'm going to keep on working my way around, I say carefully, trying to tease as much of this out. Yeah, see, this has got a combination of, it's definitely, I don't know what I used to be fair. They're such small granules that for a tree this size, they're really not up to the job. Okay, well, there's our root system, and this thing is so much lighter now. This was just caked with mud, which is not conducive to healthy growth. That's probably why this thing hasn't really put on the sort of extra vigour I'd have expected from it. Now, as I say, it cost me £5, so I'm also experimenting by doing this now, because ultimately we have to be guided by what works best in our own environments. So as you can see, I've actually gone right through, and it's so wet. What I need to do is literally now, I don't know, I'll soon see how vigorous and how quickly this comes back. It is so much lighter than it was. And I just want to remove roots that are a bit higher up. There we go, underneath. That's the massive roots we got rid of. Alright, the first thing I want to do is address the obvious issue. I've been styling this with a view that the front was going to be like that, with these 3 trunks and something here. To be fair, that decision was made a long time ago, and I wasn't really thinking much about it, because there's a really obvious problem with that. There's the root structure for the front, but if we just turn it round, we've suddenly got this grand structure there, nothing there, but again, even there you go that way, and you've got this lovely structure as well. Now this is all coming towards us, so it can't be that way. In fact, I've got this great big clump root here, which isn't going to be any good to anybody. I'll get rid of that for now. Which means that's going to be a front near enough to give us that, because that just doesn't do it for me. So again, I say I spent £5 on this tree. So if I'm going to go there, that means I don't want this. It's probably Freudian why that was the part of the tree I never got around to wiring. So let's just do that. Okay. Right, so if I pot it so it's like that, coax it around a little bit. Got a little bud down that. We're going to need something to grow from here, but for now, the front can work there. I just need to look at the wire, put a bit more wire there perhaps. I think we agree though, that's more the front. So I'm going to put it up with that in mind. Now I have got the option. I think that's the answer. So, securing it's going to be relatively easy. I just need to put wire into the bottom of those. I'll do that and come back to you. Okay, well, this is going to be the back, and I'm actually decided I'm going to use this as a securing point. Nice and easy. So, squeeze that down. As I say, I've already mounted it up a bit. Now I'm using a galvanized steel wire, and that's because I can get a great big reel of it. But also Ryan Neal says it's a great thing to use. So it's cheaper than using bonsai grade wire, so to speak. So we'll use that. And then I'm going to use these in the front, take them through to that point as well. So now we've got it wired in place. Much better without that branch. I've got a funny feeling if I can get this wire. The trouble is I've bent it once this year and I'm a little bit nervous about going for it again. Again, now we're just usual rules, filling in air pockets using Darren's homemade chopstick. Thank you very much. The mix I've got is still the remnants of my older mix, so there's kitty litter, pine bark, vermiculite, and I think I've put a little bit of pumice. Basically I've bulked out the nice, I've got some of the nice materials, but I've bulked it out with some of the kitty litter, which is what I'm going to do at the moment while I'm transitioning. Because hopefully, with the help of Alex Braunson, we may well be getting in a whole load of zeolite and pumice for next year's repotting. Okay, well that's it repotted, and as soon as it's removed from that great big horrible ceramic round thing and put into a square, a rectangular training pot already, it actually looks a bit more like a tree. Not necessarily a bonsai tree, but a tree. Now clearly this, once this dries out, this will either be removed in its entirety, or I may well use this and do some more carving on this, but I'll wait a little bit to make a decision on that. The front is going to be probably in there, so that's could be interesting if it's carved out. This is so brittle, this branch structure, that I'm going to actually wait for new shoots to grow. But the only thing I'm going to do is, there's not loads of growth on here, but you have got a bit of growth up here, which I'm just going to control at the top. But truthfully, I think we've done enough with it. So that's number one. I'm going to do the repots to the other two off camera. But I might use either this one to show you a bit of wiring restyling on it, or if I get really lazy I might do the smaller one, although it'll take just as long. Okay, so let's go to the next bit, which will be styling and wiring a Buxus. Okay, I lied just a weeny bit. I will show you what the roots of this look like. I've done a bit of work on this. It took me about 20 minutes to sort through this root mass. I mean, the front's probably going to be somewhere around there, I would imagine, but I've cut a lot of these that were coming out a long way, cut them right back. There's a nice group of roots there, but by cutting these long lengths back by a good half means I can bring the pot dimensions in, so I'm just going to go a little bit on the roots. Now for those, I meant to say this earlier, for those of you who are unsure and want to stick to traditional spring repots, by all means, I was doing spring repots for 20 years and it didn't affect my trees in any way. The reason why I'm doing this is because, you know, the experience of some of the UK growers suggests that it's actually a better time to do it. Now, I won't know really until I've done this, so, you know, by all means, if you want to follow this example, that's great. And as I say, it's Harry Harrington who's been doing this and recommends it on a website, so he's pretty well known, I like to think. So it's probably going to be fine. But what I will say to you is, this is me experimenting with it. That doesn't mean, hey, let's all go out there and do it and find out what happens. UK conditions, UK advice. Alright, well, I'm going to chuck that in a pot and probably show you what it looks like afterwards. I think the front's going to be in there, back there, and then I think we could have quite a good tree in there actually. Okay, well this is all potted up, and hopefully I've got the potting angle just about right. But you've got this lovely base here, lots of foliage. There's going to be pads out here, pad there, little one there, clip that back, pads there. There's already, I think I did some initial trimming on some of these, so the pad looks like they're already growing there. May not need to put a lot of wire on this, so yeah, so if that's just brought in. But anyway, so that one's all that. The next time we're going to see this is either in part 2, when I'm going to do a little bit of wiring and styling on it, or in about... Right, well, I know I said you'd probably go like this and we'll be going on to pruning and styling, but do you know what? I just thought I'd show you how much different it looks coming from this very, very nice Dawn Isaac ceramic into a more practical, wider, deeper training plastic pot. This is what I should have done. It may well have been because I didn't have any of these, but the chances are I was just desperate to use the nice pots. You've got to think sometimes before you put things into pots. Think where it's going to be in another year, 2 years. When you're getting to the proper ceramics and the size you like, your root system has to be in place. You really do want to have a lot of your primary, even your secondary structure set, because as soon as it goes into a much shallower pot, we all know what happens. Less room for roots to grow and less foliar growth. So that's what I've got it in now. And you can tell the colour of these leaves are very yellowed off. So when I looked in the soil, it was like mud. And if you look back in the picture, I'm sure you can see there's a lot of algae. So not very good for it. There's some nice movement in this trunk actually. Let's leave it for now. In the next part, we're going to just see me do some very, very straightforward trimming, pruning, maybe a bit of wiring, just to establish a basic shape. And then these Buxus are going to get left well and truly, probably until... well, certainly until the summertime next year, I should think. So, from Xavier, having successfully repotted his Buxus, we'll see how this works out. We'll see if this works out better than doing it in spring, and the only way I'll know that is by seeing the foliar growth this time next year. In fact, I'll probably see the results in the springtime actually, because these were pretty slow then. So, enjoy life, enjoy bonsaiing. God bless. Cheers.